Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm so excited about today's show because we have a return guest back on. However, we did not do Zoom the last time. The first time we did an episode together, I believe it was 6 years ago. And I weaseled my way into Pura Vita restaurant on West Hollywood and said, "Hi, I'd like to interview you." And Chef Chef Tara. We just had this whole conversation before we started this podcast because no one says her name right. And I don't want to be that person who says it wrong. So can you please say it correctly for us?
Yes, my name is Tara.
Tara, Tara, Chef Tara Punzone. Anyway, she's been on the show before, and I just have to show you if you're watching the video, and if you're not, then you can. Where do they go to get this book? First of all, anywhere on Amazon book, anywhere they buy books.
Anywhere books are sold.
Okay, there's not a designated website for the book though.
No, I do have my home bookstore is Book Soup in West Hollywood, but it's available everywhere.
Vigana Italiana. I have to tell you. So everyone who's listened to this show at some point, if you've been a listener for a while, you have heard about this restaurant. Not just because you heard about it on the show, but because we talk about it at the live events. Because for the last, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, I've had a VIP dinner at another location that she used to have. And so everybody looked forward to going to this VIP dinner at Pura Vita in Redondo Beach, which no longer exists, sadly. However, the flagship store, West Hollywood, just celebrated its 7-year anniversary, which I attended, and I got my book signed and I got pictures. And I'm so excited to have you back on the show. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me and for coming to the anniversary and always supporting us. Very grateful.
You're welcome. Well, you make good food. And so, I mean,
that makes it easy.
It makes it very easy. And I love that, while I can make some of the food, and I haven't started to make the food yet, I at one point was dairy free. I'm not that anymore, but I still eat vegan foods. It's like, obviously, come to your restaurant, and I'm not necessarily against. There are certain ingredients I am against, canola oil, whatever, things like that. But generally speaking, like all of your food is very clean. It's
yeah, we don't use canola oil ever.
Yeah, just amazing and wonderful. Well, of course, because you're a true Italian.
Yeah.
You don't use canola. That's like, that would be a crime against Italians. Like, that's just not even a health thing.
I'm also a little bit of a snob, though. So if I'm not going to eat it, why would I serve it to you?
Exactly. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's exactly how I feel. I cooked for people here at a Healing the Mother Wound. I cooked every single meal except one. And I knew I'd have like a person who would complain, which she did. I got over it real fast. And I said, look, because she wants some help with her body and things. And I was like, well, if you want help, like everything I'm giving you is like what everyone else here has learned how to eat and loves and has gotten results from. So tough shit is basically what I said. I love you and tough shit. So so I get it. You feel very strongly and very passionately about what you serve, what you cook, what you do, what you create. And I want to talk about this book because so I've known Chef Tara for 7 years. I think I met you not too long after you opened the restaurant because Allison and Whitney, what's her name? The other friend of Allison's, I think it's Whitney, had come to the restaurant and done some social media on it. They're like, oh my God, it's this vegan, gluten-free restaurant. I'm like, gluten-free and vegan. I'm like, I have to go. And so Doug and I went. I remember our first experience. I remember what we had. And it was amazing. And then from there, I think, and you were celebrating that night, and we talked about this on the other show. You were celebrating that you had gotten the Kickstarter money to open the pizza shop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
That was the day. My first time at your restaurant was that day. And you opened a bottle of champagne and everybody was gathered around the cash machine, cash register. And everyone was like, woo, woo. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I asked you, I think later, and you said, we just got the money to get the pizza oven because we're going to open a pizza shop next door.
Yeah. God, that seems like another lifetime ago.
I know. Bizarre. I know. Well, so when
may I interject? I just want to make it clear that the entire restaurant is not gluten-free. We just have gluten-free options.
Right. Oh,
Lots of them.
Absolutely.
Well, some people come in and they assume everything is gluten-free, so they don't say that they want it gluten-free, and then they're misled to believe that everything in the restaurant is gluten-free. So I'm just trying to clear that up.
Oh, they don't see that like GF optional.
Some people just assume that everything in the restaurant is gluten-free, and that's a problem because it is not. And so if you have an allergy or a preference, you have to speak up.
Yes, please.
We got you, but you got to speak up.
Right. Please don't assume. I remember when this book was starting to come into your life? I don't remember the agent and you getting it, but I remember coming to visit. I was passing through town and I stopped to get food to go, and you kind of came out of the cave. You're like, because you were deep in writing and you're like, oh, this book, because there are some wonderful dishes that you make. Well, all of them that I've had are wonderful, but things that people want to know how to make at home. People that are traveling through West Hollywood and California that haven't had it before, and you've expanded that pizza restaurant now into, it's now one big restaurant versus it was two and now it's one. But I was going to go back and say when because you were going to launch and open that pizza restaurant around my birthday, and we were in Italy at the time. That was 2020. And so you couldn't launch, you couldn't open. It was a soft opening. And then it went to, we can't open because it's COVID. And all of a sudden it was takeout only. And I have made a major investment in Pura Vita because every week during COVID, I'm placing to go orders to keep your gluten-free pizza alive. And I like, and then as soon as you could do you remember that? Like I was coming up almost every week. I'm like, okay, what are we going to get this week? And we're driving up to Pura Vida because I lived in El Segundo. I didn't live nearby. And I'd go get the food and I'd bring it home. I remember we celebrated a couple different anniversaries or things with Pura Vida. I think I did Pura Vida for Thanksgiving one year.
Oh,
That
nice. Yeah,
year.
we have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I brought home your food then. And then I remember when you could finally have people at the restaurant in 2020. I think you saw us like every Saturday. We had like the 6 o'clock, 6:30 time frame. Like I was like I'm like, she can't go out of business. We have to make sure she stays in business. So I've eaten a lot of Pura Vita since
Yes, and
you
I do have
opened.
to, and I always have to say thank you to all the people that came during COVID because in the beginning, we were all confused and not knowing how to pivot and move forward. And we were opening a brand new restaurant, and then we're not allowed to have anybody inside of it, and we don't have any outside space. So I thought, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen. How are we going to survive this? But everybody showed up, ordered their food to go. Some people just sat outside on the sidewalk and ate it. No, no care in the world. Just they wanted their carbonara.
Which is a
And
great
it's the
story.
only reason we survived until we were allowed to have the patio. That was the only reason we got through it was because of you guys. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, of course, it wasn't just me, but obviously, I know that. But it speaks to your vision. It speaks to the care that you give to the food that you're making, to the entrees and the dishes that you're creating. Which I know you're always working on, like what's the next new special, or we're gonna do the aperitivo, and what are we gonna put on that? And then of course in the community, the role that you play in the community, and the role that your restaurant gives people, because as I remember, you got an award for being what the 100% the first 100% vegan Italian restaurant in the United States?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
okay, that's amazing. And so people want to come together as a community to support that, and want to, and again, it's because your food's really good. So if you haven't figured it out yet, we're promoting her book today, which all of you are going to want to get, whether you're vegan or not, because the food's really good. So if you're looking for a way to have a dinner that's wonderful for everybody, no matter what their dietary needs are. I'm having a hard time right now, Tara, trying to find a restaurant I can bring my vegans to after my event this year, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. So I've been like, oh, could we have not closed in October after my event? No, I'm kidding. I was very sad, and a lot of people are going to be sad to hear this that do come to the event. But if you're listening to this, Vigana Italiana, you have to get this book. It is gorgeous. First of all, it's going to make you want to cook and eat, because it's just so beautiful. So let's talk about how this came to be, this book.
Well, I always kind of had it in my head that I wanted to write a book, but before I had a restaurant, that's just another one of those like pipe dreams. Like, yeah, I want to write a book one day, but who cares? Like, who the hell am I? Why would I write a book and why would anybody buy it? And then the minute I opened the restaurant, every person that came to the restaurant was like, "Do you have a book?" And I was like, "No. Uh-oh. Now I don't have any time at all." And so it took years because I had to get to a place where the restaurants were, you know, running in a way where I didn't have to be paying attention to every detail of every single thing that, took place from morning until night. So having opened 3 restaurants during that time, it did take longer than I thought it would. But once I started writing it, I realized that it was honestly, in my opinion, it was the most challenging thing that I've ever done. I think that it was more difficult or more challenging for me to write this book than it was for me to open the restaurant. So it turns out I'm very, very good at having 30 people talk to me at the same time about all different things and answering everybody appropriately and making things happen and organizing all the, moving parts of a restaurant. I am not good at sitting down by myself and focusing on one thing. My house was never so clean. Everything was more important every time I sat in front of that computer. Anything. The squirrels outside have lots of peanuts. Like anything was more interesting. So I really learned my, what's challenging for me, and I had to work through that, obviously. But Gene Stone, who is the man who helped me write the book, if it weren't for him, I don't know if I ever would have finished it. He was an excellent, partner in this writing process, and led me through it. He has a lot of experience. I didn't have any. So he was the gentle fire under my ass, and I am very grateful for that.
How did you meet Gene?
Well, when I first decided that I wanted to write a book, I was speaking to actually Miyoko had connected me with somebody that, it wasn't her agent. I think it was her publisher. And this woman was just helping me. And she said, well, if you're going to have somebody help you write the book, here's a list of people that you might want to reach out to, writers. She sent me a list of writers, most of which I had heard of, a couple I had never heard of. And, I reached out to a few of them, and like it is, people are kind of wishy-washy and flaky and whatever. And Gene is not any of those things. Gene answered me right away. Turns out he lives a few blocks away from me and the restaurant and comes to the restaurant all the time. So he agreed to meet with me at the restaurant. What I didn't know was that he had zero intention of writing this book with me. He was just being polite, coming to meet me because he loved my restaurant. He told me the story later that he was just assuming that as a female chef, as an Italian American from Brooklyn, that I was going to be an absolute nightmare. He just assumed that I was going to be very difficult to work with, which I thought was hilarious once he told me that, and obviously not true. So we got along swimmingly, and we had a really great time during the process. So I'm very happy with my choices, and it all worked out really well and convenient. It's very
Did you
easy
get
when you could walk to somebody's house 2 blocks away,
definitely. Now, he was a writer, but at that point, did you already have a publisher or an agent?
No, I was first starting with finding the person that was going to help me actually in real life make it happen. I was very aware that there was no way that I was really going to be able to accomplish it by myself. So I wanted to lock somebody in first who knew what they were doing and who could guide us through the process in the proper professional way, rather than me just being like, I want to write a book.
Well,
Somebody
and
give me a book deal.
but the thing with having your restaurant and having the customer base that you do, though, and the following that you do on Instagram, both for the restaurant and for you personally, is you already have an audience and, and a demand. You're being asked to do this. When I first started my first podcast, I was just sort of creating things. I was, in a way, I mean, I had a cooking show too, and we filmed both exercise and a cooking show. And then I had all the audio shows, and it was just to get my content out. It was really for my clients. I wasn't expecting to make any money, and I didn't make a lot of money the first 2 years because I didn't expect to, and I wasn't trying. But then when I ended up separating the show into different brands and saying, well, this really is very specific and needs to be put on its own show, then all of a sudden it attracted a whole different audience of people, especially with the law of attraction stuff. And they were like, okay, I want more. And I'm like, oh, more. I don't know. I don't have anything to give you. I have nothing to sell you. Got nothing to. And all of a sudden I started working with those people to create what they wanted and what they needed and what they would pay for. And to
Right.
me, that's like the best business is when you have the audience guiding you as to what they need and what they want and what they're willing to pay for. And people demanded a book from you, which I'm really glad that they did.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Are you
It,
super proud of this book? I mean, it's so beautiful.
I am so proud. It looks incredibly beautiful. I imagined how it was going to look, and I can tell you that it's even more beautiful than I was imagining. The photographer, he did such an excellent job. It was so much fun to work with him, which was something that made me nervous too, because I actually went to art school. I went to the School of Visual Arts for 8 years, got a master's degree with the focus on photography. So in my head, in my fantastical brain, I was like, I'm going to shoot all the photos myself. And then I thought, you're doing too much. Just take a step back. Just let somebody else do what they're good at. And he blew me away. So I love the way it looks, and there's a lot of stories in there about my childhood and my upbringing, and um, how I got to where I am right now, and but in a very light and fun kind of way. I was made fun of an awful lot as a kid for being vegan, and people didn't understand that back then. It was a long time ago. So all of the experiences that I went through as a younger girl really helped to get me where I am today, because you have to have a thick skin, and you have to let things roll off, and you have to take what other people say to you with an enormous grain of salt, and just push through and do what you believe in, and do, what is to be right for yourself. And so, yeah, I mean, it's all part of it though. So I'm really excited and
I'm
a little
glad.
nervous for people to read stories about my childhood, but
And maybe that's what when we were texting back and forth before I saw you at the anniversary dinner, you said, because I got the book, and I said, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful." And you said, "Okay, well, I'm a little bit nervous." And I was like, "Why are you nervous?" And you was like, "Well, it's a little bit vulnerable," and it's probably because of the stories of your childhood, and maybe those emotions that got created from all of that misunderstanding and being judged and being, made fun of, is really kind of surfacing. It's not really about present day stuff, because you know that anyone who eats at your restaurant, or knows you or is vegan, that's not even going to be an issue right now, right? It's probably
right.
just looking at revealing kind of the hardships of when you were younger. Because what I said to you was, look, if this is not for somebody, then it doesn't matter what they say. People come into your restaurant, you feed people every day. I have a much harder time with rejection, or with, being, one of my core wounds is devalued. And so if someone, which is a great learning when I had the group here and I cooked all the meals, and I knew someone who wasn't going to like stuff because she's very picky and complains about everything, I knew that going in, that was what was going to happen. But in, like, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I never would have done that. I would have never put food in front of a person who I didn't know 100% was going to go ape shit and be like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever had." Like, to me, because that was I grew up with that love language. My mother has always been a scratch chef. We made bread from scratch. We grew our own vegetables. My dad was the gardener. My mother was the cook. And my dad's love language is words of affirmation. And I'm telling you, she could serve him a shoe, he would still think it was the best thing in the world. I grew up with a dad that would go, "It's so good." And on every meal, and it'd be like tuna patties from the day before. I'm like, "Dad, they're leftovers." Like, what do you get so, but that's what made her want to keep cooking. And so for me, the first time I ever in New York, living in New York City, the Upper East Side, and I made some dinner for my ex-boss who I was dating. And I said, "How was it?" I'm waiting on pins and needles. "How was it?" And he goes, "It's okay." I was like,
Ooh,
"It's
that gave me the
okay."
chills. Okay.
I thought, "I'm never cooking for you again. I'm never cooking." That's the worst thing you could say to me. "It's okay." So, like, I've come a long way, that because I won't cook for people that won't appreciate what I do. So to me, it's the reverse. I'm like, you sell it, and people come in every day, and some people, I'm sure 99% of them love it, but I'm sure you have an outlier every once in a while that doesn't like it. And that to me is way more vulnerable in my love language. So for you and me,
Yeah.
I put myself out every day vocally and, in written form. And so now people get to know a little bit more about you. So I understand now what the vulnerability is really. It's more of
Yeah.
the upbringing and the childhood and the things that made you different. It's almost kind of putting a little salt in the wound to see if you've healed.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, people, come into the restaurant, they love it. Thank God. Everything is usually 90% of the time excellent feedback. Every once in a while, we get somebody who writes some crazy review or something. And I'm like, they didn't get it at all. Like, I don't know if they don't know like what Italian food is supposed to taste like, or like, or they just don't like it. That's fine, whatever. But I think the vulnerability here is more that this book is going to be read by people who don't come to the restaurant, who I've never met, who I'll never meet, and I'll never know personally. And knowing, suddenly realizing that complete strangers who I'll never lay my eyes on are going to read my stories about my, life. That just like never occurred to me during the process of writing it because I just wasn't, I don't know, I was just like writing it. And now I'm like, oh my God, anyone can read this. So I mean, that's all part of the fun. And the nervousness is also all part of the fun. So I'm
And
super excited.
and I really don't think, minus audiences like mine or audiences like other podcasts or where you are, that people have loved your food and talk about it. I don't know that a lot of non-vegans, like, you're going to get the vegans and the health people right away, and that's going to be their jam. And people that talk about it who aren't vegan will go, oh, well, I'm not saying you're not going to have more than, just vegans, but because obviously I'm not, and neither are most of my clients, except some of them. But your food's amazing. And it is an alternative for people to try new ways of preparing Italian foods. I don't know if you ever told you this. I don't eat Italian out except yours, because I can make it. And if I'm there's to me there's no reason for me to ever. I make my own sauce. I make everything. There's no
Yeah.
reason. And I make my own pasta now. There's no reason for me to go out and have Italian except yours. So you're the only Italian restaurant I will pay money to eat at.
Thank you.
You are welcome. And
And I
I,
agree with you. I also don't go
but
out
yeah,
to
but
eat
yeah,
at
you are
other
a
Italian
restaurant. Right.
restaurants.
I can understand that.
And I
You have,
mostly never did either because I was like, why would we go to a restaurant? Like I could just be like, Ma, make whatever, whatever I'm craving, and it's gonna be better than anyone else's. So very spoiled over here.
I understand. It's the reason why we can't like go to brunch. Doug keeps saying maybe you can do a pop-up brunch place. I'm like, no, then it'll take the fun out of it. But because I can't get what I want anywhere else. So maybe one day I'll make the menu. Someone else can cook it. But I want to talk about, are all of the recipes, are there additional recipes in this book that aren't on your menu at Pura Vita?
Yes. There's recipes in the book that are not on the menu at Pura Vita, and there's also recipes that are on the menu at Pura Vita that are not in the book.
Ooh,
So you
can I
can't
know?
have everything.
Before I can I know which recipes which that are on Pura Vita's menu that are not in the book?
Sure. Well, so first of all, I wanted this book and these recipes to be very accessible to everybody. So, for example, I didn't include anything that has truffle in it because we use real truffle at the restaurant. We do not use synthetic truffle oil. And that's a very expensive and difficult to get ingredient. And so I just didn't, that's not what this book is about. It's about reaching people in communities and in places throughout the states that don't have the opportunity to come and eat in my restaurant. I really want people to be able to cook for their families and try this out because I think that, it'll make a lot of people very happy. So those types of ingredients are not included at all in the book. Everything in there is ingredients that you could get, at Whole Foods or whatever your local grocery store is. Simple, basic fruits, vegetables, legumes. Um, so that's all of those types of recipes are not included in the book. There's no pizza because we have a 900-degree wood burning pizza oven. If I were to take the dough home and try to make a pizza in my oven, it would be an epic fail. And so I wasn't really sure that I wanted to get into all that. So next
Well,
book.
as a major super fan with a pizza oven, would you be willing to share the gluten-free pizza recipe with me?
I don't know. I'll have to see. I might have to come out with book number 2, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay, because I have a pizza oven and we use it. After coming back from Naples, it was life-changing, and I was like, well, we will never be ordering pizza again. We will never be making pizza in the oven again. And so now we make pizza in the pizza oven. And yeah, and all the people that would say, "Oh, Naples pizza," and I'm like, "Yeah, what? Like, really? What's the big deal?" And then you go and your life is changed. You're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
it was real." Like
it's
this.
so good. It's
It's
crazy. Yeah.
very, very real. Okay, so there's no pizza, no truffle. Okay. All right. Well, again, for everybody who is not going to be able to make it to West Hollywood to the restaurant and to be able to enjoy everything, there's a plenty in here for them to do. And I've been seeing you do videos on your Instagram. So is it on your personal or is it on Pura Vita's or both?
It's on both. It's on both. I'm posting it on my personal, but I collab with the restaurant. So, but the focus is on my page, of course, because the book is, we'll be selling it at the restaurant, but the book is not like a restaurant cookbook.
Yeah, but you own the restaurant, so
Yes,
um, yes. So
that is a
cross
fact.
promotion is great. What was the most enjoyable part of writing this book?
Um, the feeling when we were wrapping it up that this was real life, that this was really going to come to fruition and become a tangible item, it kind of blew my mind because you work on something for so long, like for example, I opened the restaurant, like my whole life I had the dream of opening a restaurant. And then I started looking for locations. I found a location, and because of the way things work in the city of West Hollywood and however every place is different, but I had 90 days to get that restaurant open. You have to open it. So there's no lengthy period of time where you're like working things out. I had 3 months. That was it. Get her done. This book took 3 years. So so when we were finally wrapping it up, the written part of it, I just thought, this is real. Like we just did all of that work and like it's going to become a real tangible item. And then the first time they sent me the very first copy of the book for my approval, I cried a little. I mean, it was like hard to believe that we did that. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's such an accomplishment and I'm so proud of it. So
And unlike most books, so I've written 3 books and I'm working on the fourth right now. But and I've been asked to take my food cooking classes, if you will, on the podcast and make them into a recipe book. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. Because when I was doing it, I mean, and I don't know, I'm guessing because you have other people help you in the kitchen that you have obviously and you're Virgo. Everything is very measured, like it's exact, right? You have everything very exact. I
oh,
am
of
not
course.
exact. I am not
Yeah.
exact.
Well,
I'm
you
the
have
kitchen.
to be exact in a restaurant because it has to
Of
be the
course.
same every single
Of
time. So
course. Right. Well, I don't have a restaurant, and so I'm
yeah.
not exact. And even when I was having the cooking show, it ended up being called when I extracted it from the lineup and made it its own show, it was called Easy Paleo Gluten and Dairy Free Cooking. And the point was easy, right? So I would kind of go, it's about this, it's about that. And I thought for me to go back through and then recreate all of that and then have to come up with, I'm like, I'm not doing it. There is not
Yeah.
a market. I am not that person. If watch the show, get some ideas, but it's not like your cooking. Your cooking is magic. It's art. Mine wasn't art. It was love infused nutritional support for the body that I want people to have a better relationship with food and therefore have a better relationship with their body and take time and to pause and to have rest and digest and to celebrate and to do all the things you're supposed to do in a healthy way with food. But I was never saying, oh, I've created this magnificent art that no one's ever had before. That's what you've created. And I think that with this book, sorry, I got a little teary-eyed there too. With this book, see, she just channels through me. I don't prepare this. The beauty of the book really illustrates the movement that you've created. And it is, I won't lie, like because it's a thick, beautiful book. It's like a coffee table book. This is a coffee table book. In fact, I would recommend people put it on your coffee table. It's a conversation starter because the pictures are gorgeous and just so well done. As of the recording of this today, I landed myself an agent for my book. And you've been working on this for 3 years. I understand because of the precision that and the care and then the schedule that you have, why it took you 3 years. I am the person though I am very good at making content and writing books. I could put a book out once a year, not a problem.
Yeah. Oh,
But but this book that I'm working on right now
the
has
thought
been
of that make me cry.
there's a lot more that goes into. I don't need photos in my book. You need
Right.
photos in your book, right?
Yeah.
And not to mention the schedule that you juggle and the responsibility that you juggle with people and a staff and suppliers and everything that goes into having a restaurant. I don't have that, right? So I have more time and space than you do to kind of put this kind of work out into the world. And I'm not going to need pictures, but it's been 7 years. Actually, my last book was in 2017. It's been 8 years. And
Wow.
this book has been like a child literally being birthed because at every stage when I said, oh, I'm going to go write this book, which was 2 years ago, my intuition said, stop, you're not ready. The world isn't ready. You're not ready. You're not done. Like this, you're working this out. It still has to get worked out. And
Yeah,
so taking like someone who's normally very fast and saying, pause, you have to wait. You're going to wait. So it's going to be, 7 years that I've been working on this process. But for you to be able to put together with the time that you have, I mean, your schedule, anyone that's worked in, imagine those of you who are out there and you've bussed a table, you've been a bartender, you've been a waitress, you know how grueling that kind of schedule is. Now own the restaurant. Own the restaurant and be in charge of everybody and everything, even if you have great staff, which you do. Nadia is amazing, and right, people's been with you since the beginning. But still, the responsibility is on your shoulders, and that's a lot. And now add a book, add a book
yeah,
that has to be precise and has to be
yeah.
outlined and well thought out. And for you, it's a skill set that is new to you, and you have to learn it.
Totally new, yeah. The hardest part for me was because there's no way that I can write in the restaurant, right? I can barely write an email in the restaurant because I get interrupted, my thoughts get interrupted every, you know, 60 seconds. It's just like another person comes up to you. Everybody always wants to talk. Both employees and guests are always talking to me. So sometimes it takes me 2 hours to write like a 4 sentence email. So the hardest thing was that I really had to like go home and not be present in the restaurant in order to make this book happen. And I don't want to not be in the restaurant. I love being in the restaurant. So that was like really I missed moments, and that was the least fun part of writing the book because I had a little bit of FOMO, as they say.
I understand FOMO. I definitely understand FOMO. So if someone is, or they love Italian food, they're not vegan, they're interested in your book, what do you think would be the recipe to start with? And I'm not, and let's talk to actual people who cook their foods. If you don't cook very much, you still get the book and start to learn how to cook. Start to learn how to roast some garlic, learn how to roast some vegetables, right? And then work your way up
Yeah,
from there. But someone
simple
who is a
things.
good cook and enjoy being in the kitchen, where would you think they would start to experience sort of your style and your flavor best?
Well, I mean, I think making one of the cheeses is a good place to start because the cheese, either the mozzarella or the ricotta, it can go in so many different dishes and be applied in so many different ways. So that sort of was the focus in the front of the book and the beginning of the book are on those things, the components that then continue to be used throughout the book. So trying those out first is a good place to start. Um, and then just like making fresh pasta. I think people are intimidated by this and also somehow for some reason think that it can't be vegan, which has always confused me. I remember when we first opened the restaurant, they were like, but what is the pasta made out of? Is it zucchini? And I was like, no, it's flour and water. Like, I don't, what do you think pasta is? Pasta doesn't need to have eggs in it. People like to use eggs in their pasta for a different texture, color, and various other reasons, but it's not necessary to use eggs in pasta because unfortunately for you, you can't, the gluten thing is an issue, but gluten, which is in flour, is literally glue. That's what gluten is. So
Yep.
you don't need eggs. Eggs are always found in the things that are gluten-free because you need to stick it together somehow.
Right.
But anyway, just try to make fresh pasta, use my recipe and the thing about it is it's so much easier than you might think that it is. And also in this super stressful world that we live in right now, there's something about making fresh pasta that's kind of for me in particular, it's like meditation. There's this moment of peace that you'll find when you're by yourself, just rolling out the pasta and playing, having your hands in the dough. I don't know, there's something about it that's like very calming. And even if just for that reason, I recommend trying it because if you've never done it before, you'd be really surprised, I think, how good it makes you feel.
I when we got back, we made pasta in 2020. My mom, I grew up with my mother making, I mean, she made ravioli my whole life. That's what they did. And but she had the drying racks for the pasta. And I'm guessing she must have had the wheel thing that and we have one of those too because Doug had it. But I didn't use it when we got back from Italy, did I? I don't think I did because I was making gluten-free pasta when we got back and I was making gnocchi. And so I was just, I mean, I definitely rolled it out. I'm not sure if I rolled it through that though. And then I was just using like a pizza cutter to cut either strips if I was making like a linguine or a, what other noodle sizes? In fact, we just did it again in Italy when we were there earlier in April, and then the gnocchi was kind of fun too. So when we were making it, well, we
I
were
love
also
gnocchi.
it
Oh
was
my God.
COVID, so wine and pasta and pizza became what we had a lot, obviously during COVID when we weren't allowed to leave the house. But I still would recommend that people definitely try making pasta. I don't know if I ever told you when I went to NYU for a summer in college, and I lived in where'd I live? I lived in Fort Union Square. I lived in Union Square, and I was doing the Tisch program over at NYU. And anytime I needed to avoid, and it's to this day, like if I don't want to clean my office or I have something I want to have to do and I don't want to do it, I go cook. I'm like, I'm just gonna go cook. Like it's my creative outlet. I'm like gonna go to the kitchen, and I had no money then, but I was finding whatever I could make with potatoes and rice, and I was like, I had these big bags in New York City, and I'd just be in the kitchen, and I spent a little bit too much money on my rent that year because I had to have a place with air conditioning and a kitchen. That was my stipulation for living in New York City in the summer of whatever year that was. It was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
so I understand. I understand. I strongly recommend that everybody, because if you eat, learn how to cook, even if it's one step at a time. That's why I said get the book and like learn how to roast garlic. So
Yeah.
learn how to roast garlic, watch
Well,
some
you
of the
know what?
videos.
Just as an example, like that's a specific thing I included in the book because I realized that a lot of people have no idea and have never done that before. And like, what a beautiful, vegetable that grows like wild that can make everything taste so amazing by just doing one tiny little thing to it. And people don't, that have never done it. Once you do it, you're going to do it all the time. That's the thing. Because it's just so good. It's just so good and so easy. You can't mess it up. Well, I guess you could burn it, but
Well, but even if you burn it,
you have to kind of
you don't.
try to burn it though.
True, true. No, I think I remember roasting garlic for the first time in college. I had come home, I'd roasted garlic, I had it with some cheese and bread on. I literally ate the entire bulb. And then don't do that though. Don't do that because even though it's very good for your immunity, if you do that, you're gonna have to stay home for a couple days because I was in the like store with my mother. She had to roll down the windows in the car. She's like, "Oh my God, you stink." I mean, garlic was oozing out of my body because I loved it so much that I ate the entire bulb of garlic with bread and cheese. And so I was peeing garlic, I was burping garlic, the whole thing. So don't do that much, but you are gonna love it because it is amazing. Garlic is like it's in my blood. I'm Italian too, so
Yeah, it's so delicious. And when you roast it, it does become sweet and it takes um that spicy and sharp smell and flavor away from it, which is the beauty of roasting it because you can eat more of it than you could if you were doing it raw because it's sort of like lessens the aftermath of it. But it's like butter. I mean, you just spread it on your toast and you don't
yep.
need anything else.
Nope.
It's so
Nope.
good.
It is so good. Now I have to roast some garlic tonight,
I'm getting
and make
hungry.
some bread on top of that to put it on, um, which I can do. I can make some gluten-free focaccia bread. So, obviously I love everything I've ever had. I've never had anything bad at your restaurant, so I'm assuming I'm going to love everything in this cookbook. If you had to write a second book, what would you do with the second book?
Well, you know what? There's so many things that I didn't include in this book because as it is, it's pretty large and there's lots of information in there. I could have kept going. I mean, I have so many more recipes and ideas and so many more like categories of foods that I didn't even get into, like breads and doughs and those types of things. Um, Pasta is always my focus. That's my four major food groups basically is, pasta, chocolate, coffee, and wine.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
where I'm at.
That tracks. That tracks.
So, execution meal, if I had to choose between pasta and pizza, I'm sorry, it's always going to be pasta. It's just so that was sort of how I had to, make decisions in this book, but there's so much more. I could keep going. I just need to find a lot more time in my life.
I have a feeling, I have a sneaky suspicion that the book is going to do very well, and you
I
might
really hope that your
do a
suspicion
second
is
book.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, well, think of it this way. If you sell it to everybody, just alone, he'll take the pressure off. Forget everybody else in the world. You just sell it to every single person on both of your Instagram channels and every person that walks into the restaurant. We're already doing pretty good right there,
Yeah.
right? We're
Yeah,
already
but
doing.
you know, it's funny. People have been asking for it and talking about it for all this time, but you'd be surprised how many people you have to go, did you order your book yet? Oh, no, not yet. It's like, hmm.
Well, we're still on pre-order. We're still on pre-order,
Yeah,
and as soon as it's going to catch on fire, and when it catches on fire, and they're going to hear about it, they're going to want it, and when some people start talking about it, they're gonna want it, and of course, you're going to do a push for the holidays as a great gift for
oh,
everybody.
definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
good
It's an
stocking
excellent gift
stuffer.
because it's beautiful and it's not just like words on a page. It's visually impressive and we all eat with our eyes. So
And
it's a
who
good
doesn't like Italian?
it's a good inspiration. Yeah. Yeah, who doesn't like
Who
Italian?
doesn't like Italian? And you cover all, again, anyone who eats meat can eat everything in here. Every vegan can have this. Everyone's gluten free can have this. Like, I don't know any diet that couldn't have, I mean, except low carb, but you could still do most of the things that are in here. That would be the only diet I can think of that couldn't have all the things that are in this book.
Yeah.
There's amazing things in all of it. And not to mention that most people that are low carb go off of it at least a couple times a year. Think of it as a holiday special. Think of it as as a birthday. I mean, we're humans. We fluctuate. We have
Yeah.
cycles. So keep it for a
Yeah.
cycle and give it as a gift because
There
most of
are
them
also a
don't
lot
count.
of vegetable-based dishes and salads and soups and things that are low carb. So, although I like to personally focus on pasta 98% of the day, there are a lot of other things in there that are not pasta.
Yes, yes. I'm just gonna call out some of my favorites that I've had at the restaurant for anyone who, so I can get your taste buds going. So definitely all of the cheeses, the ricotta, the cashew ricotta, the almond ricotta, the mozzarella, the parmigiana. Her sauce is amazing. The calabrese is to die for.
That's my favorite.
Everything that you have on there. I'm just gonna go from the menu. So the tiramisu is one of my favorite desserts, which I know you have in this book, right? Um, Although you probably don't have the peanut butter pie in here, but that was a real another favorite that I had. Your salad, your Caesar salad. So
Yeah,
I still think
that's a
mine
big
is,
one.
well, I mean, I have to be honest and say that after we had your Caesar salad, like I don't like anybody else's Caesar salad. And it's like, yours is vegan, and it's like, why am I don't know, like your Caesar salad is the best Caesar salad. I even make Caesar salad and I love ours, but yours is better because I not, and if I try, and can I make yours? Probably. Am I going to take the time to? No, I'm just going to come to the restaurant. But one day, but next time when I've had Vesta here, one of my clients, and I've made food for everybody, I usually make some kind of plant-based cheese to add to salads and things. And so I can feed vegans very easily. And that is an invitation for you, Missy, for when you get your ass back up to Ojai. I told you I would feed you.
I know, I
Um,
miss Ojai.
so when you come up to visit, oh my God, the lasagna. Yeah, all the pasta dishes that can be made gluten-free are amazing. And I know
Yeah, I
that
mean,
you have
all
them
of
at
the
the
pasta
restaurant.
dishes, if you just use gluten-free pasta,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that's easy.
gluten-free flour. Yeah, and I made pasta with egg, and now you're just saying you don't need the egg. Cool. Then I mean, with the gluten-free flour, you need the egg, but with regular flour, you don't need the egg.
Yeah.
Um, oh gosh, so many good things. I'm getting hungry, and I haven't eaten yet. I skipped lunch. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to start this and have everybody try their dishes, share the book. It's a great time for a stocking stuffer, and for
Totally.
anyone. I mean, it's beautiful, it's delicious, it's healthy. It's all the things. So,
I
other
want
than
to point out one recipe
yeah,
because, I've done a lot of podcasts and I've been asked a lot of questions. And one thing that I thought of that nobody's asked me is what I think the most underrated dish slash recipe in my book is. And I'm going to tell you what it is. And to me, it's also the most beautiful photo in the entire book. I can't even stand it. When I look at it, I can smell it. And I think about Christmas and all the holidays where my family makes it. And that's the stuffed artichoke.
stuffed artichoke. I
I don't
love
know what page it's
artichokes.
on. I could look it up really quick, but that to
Oh,
me
I'm
is
here.
like the most underrated recipe in there. It's not in the on my menu at the restaurant because it is an entire artichoke, so that would be a lot to serve at a restaurant. But it's incredible. It's so delicious and very easily made gluten-free. Just use gluten-free breadcrumbs.
And so you don't have it on the menu at Pura Vita because it's a whole head. Oh, here it is, stuffed artichokes, page 116.
Yeah, it's a whole entire artichoke. It's something that my family, it became my job to make at a very young age on Christmas. That's how it started. And then I started making it for every single holiday because it's my favorite thing. And everybody loves an artichoke. It's fun to eat and it's fun to make. And it's like the underdog of the whole book.
Okay, I'm so glad that you said that because there's a restaurant still there. It's in South Bay, Rock and Fish, and I was going to Rock and Fish forever, and they have hands down the best grilled artichoke that I've ever had. My mother, when she'd come to town, would even like eat it multiple times a day. I mean, they do it really well, and I've never had a grilled artichoke the same as what they do there ever. It's tender, it's flavorful, it's they have a garlic aioli that goes with it. It has all the right seasons and sauces on it.
Uh-huh.
It's tender, it's delicious, but it's not stuffed. It's just
Yeah.
roasted and fire roasted. So I'm looking at this artichoke, and what's funny is that Doug and I have these. We have like wild artichokes. I don't think they're edible because they're real spiky on top, and
Uh-huh.
and they grow in our yard. And I'm like, okay, one day. So it tells me how easy it is to grow artichokes. I'm going to grow them, but I don't have to grow them. But so for those of you that are on the video, I'm going to show you the picture really fast. But I want to read the ingredients so
I
you
mean,
can
I can
hear.
smell it just looking at the photo.
So we've got some lemon juice and breadcrumbs and the macadamia parmigiano and garlic and shallot and olive oil and parsley and sea salt and black pepper and vegetable broth and then 2 cups of filtered water, I'm guess for boiling it. And oh my God, it looks
It's so
amazing.
easy. It's
Yeah.
the ingredients are so basic. It takes a little time. It's a lengthy description because it does take some, you know, some finagling. But it's totally worth it. And once you get into making it, you're just gonna if I mean, I love making stuffed artichokes. It's like it's my job. It's been my job since I'm 14.
Well, because I've never had it at your restaurant and because I love artichokes, and this is even easier because I don't have to cut it in half and put it on the grill, right?
Yeah.
And it has cheese in it. Well, I'm told. So I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna put the bookmark in here. So that's exactly where I'm gonna start. When you're like,
Nice.
looking forward to making my food. Well, I'm gonna start with that one because I haven't had it from you, but this will be a way for me to have it from you. No, I'm
Yeah.
hungry and I'm excited, and maybe I'll even make it for my client this weekend because she's vegetarian, wanting to go vegan, and that would give me a good excuse to try it. So. Anything else you want to share about either the restaurant, the book, any of the accolades that I missed? I'm going to read. There will have been, as you're listening to this, I will have already told you about Chef Tara in the beginning of this book or the beginning of this podcast. So you had the 100% plant-based award was it an award or
Well,
recognition?
no, I mean, we are the first 100% plant-based Italian restaurant and wine bar in the United States. That wasn't an award, that was just a fact. Um, we have one Veg News magazine does an awards thing every year. And so every year for the last 4 years, I think, maybe five, but for sure four, we won best Italian restaurant nationwide, which is makes me very, very happy. Um, we won best pizzeria a few times as well, even though now the pizzeria and the restaurant are together in one. And many years ago, I won best chef, which
Woohoo!
was really not expected because I'm couldn't be more of an underdog as far as in that world. Like I was never like huge on social media and trying to be like a celebrity chef or anything like that. I just like to make food and share it with people. But yeah, I was really surprised by that, and that was really, really that was a fun one. It made me happy. And it also just like boosts your confidence and makes you realize that like people are paying attention, and obviously do enjoy what I'm doing. So anytime you have that sort of like you feel heard kind of thing, then it makes you just want to do it even more. So yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. I knew you had won a bunch of awards, and I didn't see them necessarily in the beginning of this press release that I got. Although, of course, I, to be honest, didn't read the whole thing yet. But because I
Yeah.
know you
But
and
that's
because
more for
I,
the restaurant though, not really. I mean, of course it has something to do with the book because the restaurant has something to do with the book, but
right, but it's the credibility of how many people have acknowledged your food, your restaurant, you, and now you're writing a book. Like you didn't just come out of the woodwork and you don't have a restaurant, you don't have like thousands of people who've been to the restaurant, right? Like your
right.
proven process is not. And I want people who are listening to this who don't remember the episode from before, who are now going to go listen to that episode from before, because one of the connections I really enjoyed that we made to wrap this up real quick is that when we because it was you and me and Allison, and it was supposed to be Doug and I. And Allison was the last minute because Doug didn't realize that you and I had agreed on a time sort of in the middle of the day. And he was like, he was thinking, like, we're going to dinner. I'm like, she can't do an interview at dinner. Like, that is not, she used to be in the restaurant, in the kitchen. Like, she can't do that. That makes no sense. So when we were going through your story, and the two things that stuck out were, because again, with spirit, purpose, and energy as my show, and really kind of leaning into law of attraction and things, you had mentioned the story about the which dish was it with that you had the dream about?
That's the
Your carbonara.
yeah.
You literally had never had carbonara, and it was one of my favorite dishes, still is. And you had a dream about how to put it together, and it's like the best selling, one of the best selling dishes you have on your menu, and you just sort of had a dream about it, which is totally intuition. And then somewhere by the end, you mentioned something without me probing you about law of attraction, like, well, I guess it was just like kind of how it was meant to be, or I manifest. You said some word like manifestation, and Allison are like, yeah, like okay, we didn't know that we would have this conversation with you, but I was very excited to hear you kind of acknowledge that the way things happened for this restaurant and you and how it kind of unfolded had a divine guidance and absolutely 100%, meant to be.
Oh, totally. I mean, I think manifesting is it's 100% a real thing. It's not like some hippy dippy idea. It's like if you really want something to happen, you need to see it, clearly see it, visualize it every day and continue doing it and to exhaustion. I mean, to until you're exhausted by it, because until then it will have less of a chance of ever becoming real. And when you really can see something and you really mean it, you can make it happen,
Yeah, you can line
whatever
up
it
with it.
is.
Right.
For me, it happened
Absolutely.
to be a restaurant and a book, but it can be anything that anybody's striving for. I mean, you have to really just focus your mind on what you really want to see happen, and you can definitely make things happen. I think that that's
Yes.
a real thing.
Absolutely. You made the restaurant happen, you made the book happen, and all the success that you've had, and all the accolades that you've had, all of the opportunities you've had. That even though sometimes the universe takes us in one direction and then goes, okay, no, no more over here. We're going to go over this direction. Like one of the reasons I'm sure that the Redondo Beach location needed to be off your plate is because you needed to focus on the book. You know, focus
Yeah.
on the book, you know, focus on your restaurant and focus on what's coming next for you in that. And I know you're looking at overseas potentially for potential other things, but we'll get to that later whenever that's a more of a reality. But for right now, go to wherever you buy your books and type in Vigana Italiana and make sure you buy this book for yourself, for others, for your family. Even if you just want to put it, if you're like, I need a beautiful book that people who are your office, if you have a waiting room for your
Yeah.
office in a a doctor, a therapist, or whomever, have that in your waiting room because it'll keep people engaged and then because it's
It'll
really,
definitely
really
get
pretty.
people talking. Yep.
Definitely.
And
So
hungry.
I'm hungry now. So Tara, thank you. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you
And
so much for having me, and honestly, for always showing up over the years in the strangest of times, in the most perfect of times. I mean, we've gone through it, ups and downs, and but you guys have always showed up, and and that's the main reason why we are still relevant. So thank you for that.
oh, you're welcome. You attracted it. You earned it. Your food's amazing. This book is amazing, and you would be silly to not buy this book and not try it because,
Silly.
it'd be silly. No, who doesn't like Italian food? Everyone. If you own a cookbook, literally, if you own a cookbook or if you think you're ever going to buy a cookbook again, you have to buy this book. Let's just know that's it. Because I mean, I have a ton of cookbooks and people I know still love to have cookbooks. And I know we can get them on Pinterest. You're not getting this on Pinterest, not getting this on Pinterest. So you got to get, you got to get the real thing and you're going to be glad that you did. It weighs 1,000,000 pounds. It's beautiful. It's sturdy, but it's sturdy. It's beautiful. And you'll be surprised by, and I can't wait to try the artichoke. You'll be surprised by how amazing you can just feed everybody. You don't have to think twice. Everybody will eat it. So thank you so much. I
Yes,
can't wait to come back.
I agree with everything you just said.
Good. I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm so far away, but I look forward to making a trip to come back and see you.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love you.